take it real soon. You know we got what you need, baby, so take it, move along. I said we got what you need, honey, come and groove along. Come on. Rolling on the highway and ease up. Wow! Come on, and groove along.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jubilee Circle. Thank you for being here in the building.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us on YouTube. We're so happy for you to be here with us. And if you would like a bulletin, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a link below the screen that you're watching, but you could also go to jubileecircle.com, and right there on the front page will be a bulletin that you can download. And if you have a if you still need a paper copy, we still have apparently one over there. So yes, so welcome. Thanks everybody for joining us this morning. One, two, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. We arrive as infants, gentle and soft, alive with possibilities. In joy we're held aloft, hearts ready for love, the pain of birth forgot. Our tender bodies swallowed, not a sin, not a spot. But age comes for us all, stiffening mind and bones. Life becomes a struggle, our hearts begin to close. Our bodies grow weary, we lose sight of our soul. We can wither on the vine or allow life to flow. This is how you know you're alive. Are you gentle, are you kind? Can you bend in like stones, not breaking as life transforms? Do you know how to be gentle? When we believe that we know it all, our lives become rigid and we easily fall. Life can be fragile, so we must dare to remain open and ready to care. This is how you know you're alive. Are you gentle, are you kind? Can you bend and like stones? Life's harmony, it wants to flow through our lives so we can show the strength that comes when we yield and our true divinity is revealed. morning again. I wrote that song in the middle of the pandemic, back when we didn't have a license to play other people's songs. So I had to write a song every week. That was an interesting exercise. So thankfully the pandemic increased my songwriting. So good morning again. Years ago, I wrote an article, this was probably in the 1990s, I wrote this article for the Huffington Post about the process that I had gone through to forgive a past landlord when I was living in Atlanta after he sued me and my then partner for damages that he claims we inflicted on the apartment. Now, the allegations were not true, but to avoid small claims court, we settled with him. And the whole thing, this whole process, just infuriated me. And so his house was on the way to work most mornings, so every time I drove by, I gave him the one-finger salute. You know which one. I don't have to show you. And it was so much more satisfying on those mornings when he was out in the yard. I would honk and then wave. That's the way to do it, right? I reached a point, though, when I realized my anger at him wasn't really harming him one bit. The only person being hurt was me. I was living in this state of rage against this guy, and as the famous old saying goes, holding on to anger is like drinking rat poison and expecting the other person to die. These are the ideas that I wrote about in that Huffington Post piece, and never read the comments, right? I mean, that's what they always tell you. Judging from the responses to that article, it's still out there if you want to go. But they took the comments down, which is sad. But judging from the responses, you would have thought that I was asking people to sacrifice puppies and kitties. Forgiveness. It's like the third rail of spirituality, right? People were having none of it. Forgiveness is for the weak, they told me. They also told me that my experience with my landlord was nothing like what they experienced. You don't know what I went through. It was so much worse. This was unforgivable. They experienced real suffering, not just being mad at a landlord. And I'm sure they did. But holding on to that suffering, rehashing it, keeping it alive, it does nothing but keep it alive. If you bring anything from your past into this present moment, you create a future that is identical to the past. So, if you want to step into a different world in this present moment, you got to leave the past behind. Especially the stuff that you have taken and carved into an identity for yourself. Anything you've used to make yourself a victim. The world that we're invited to step into, Jubilants, is the realm of the holy. The real world, where there is only peace. And the journey to that world begins with that first step of forgiveness. And releasing the entire world to say, oh, yeah. Please rise as you're able. And we begin every Jubilee Circle in the same fashion. We remember the four elements, the air and the water and the earth and the fire. And we burn sage as a reminder that this is a safe and a sacred time. And it is also a time in which we set our intentions. We set our intentions for ourselves personally to become the love and light in the world. And we set our intention for the world, that love and light will permeate everything in the world. And we orient ourselves in this sacred time and space by calling the four directions. So I invite you to turn and face the east. As the sun rises each morning, it doesn't withhold its life-giving warmth from the unjust and shine only on the just. Instead, it makes no distinction between those we perceive as good and those we judge as recalcitrant. Teach us, Holy One, the lesson of the sun. Help us to shine our warm, life-giving compassion on everyone we meet, both friend and foe alike. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the south. Holy One, the heat from the south draws the sweat and breath out of each of us, regardless of the perceived good or evil in our hearts. Remind us to be like that southern heat, to draw out the toxins of violence, indifference, and hatred that lurks within our own hearts. Help us to sweat out the darkness that lurks within each of us and replace it with the thirst-quenching light of your love, compassion, and joy. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the west. As the sun sets in the west and the stars rise this evening, remind us, Holy One, that the darkness envelops all of us, whether we've acted justly or unjustly. No one escapes the darkness of life, so teach us, Holy One, how to use the dark times, especially those that seem unjustly dark, to pursue your holy justice of reconciliation, forgiveness, and healing. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the north. The cold winds from the north, Holy One, they know no discrimination. Both those we perceive as either good or evil shiver when the air turns cold. Remind us, Holy One, that even in those cold times, we can dance that holy dance of forgiveness if we'll only find a way to share our warmth and love, even with those we may be tempted to call an enemy. And as we turn back toward the center, you'll find a bunch of people who have forgiven and been forgiven, and who have been treated fairly and unfairly. So I invite you, Jubilants, think about how you react in times when forgiveness is needed. The Holy is always inviting us to practice forgiveness, even when we believe we've been victims, because it is the powerful practice of forgiveness that brings the light of the Holy to shine away the darkness, so that all of us can say, oh yeah. All right, Julie, we'll pass that sage around. Thank you so much. And remain standing. We're going to open ourselves with a little chant from Rickie Byars this morning called Holy, Holy Way. And featuring Trisha on the vocals here. All right. Hang on now. Let's everybody get together.
Let's just rewind the music.
Okay, so here we go. Yay! All right, here we go. One, two. I invite you to greet one another.
Holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me know that love is all around me.
Let me know that love is all around me.
Oh, let me know that love is all around me.
Let me know that love is all around me.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me learn from all the ways I failed.
Let me learn from all the ways I failed.
Oh, let me know in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, yeah. All right. You've all been seated. Boy, you guys know the drill around here. All right, a few announcements, or a little bit about us, and then some announcements here. So welcome to everybody visiting today. I see we've got some new faces. We're glad to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we won't freak you out too much and you'll come back. So we are an inclusive, progressive interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina, broadcasting around the world. We teach the timeless common wisdom of love and unity found in mainstream religions, metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired secular and religious writers and teachers throughout the ages. We use popular music, teachings, weekly celebrations, educational and artistic events, all these community building activities as we seek to create a space for everyone to experience transformation so then they can go out and be that transformation in the world. We believe we're here to expand our souls, to find a deeper meaning in life, to renew our commitment to love every day, to peace and to justice, to learn how to love wastefully and undergo a transformation from the inside out, that we discover how to live more and more, spend more and more time in our higher divine self. We also recognize we're part of God's good creation. We're formed in stardust as well as love and joy. But we forget this. We come into the world and we start seeing you over there and me over here, and we believe that we're separate, that we've forgotten that we share this one mind and one spirit, and then the judging starts. So then we look at others and go, oh, they're beautiful, they're ugly, they're good, they're bad, they're generous, they're stingy, they're loving, and those people are just plain recalcitrant, intransigent, stubborn. Get off my lawn. But let us remember our true function here, Jubilants. It is to remember who we truly are, that we have never lost our home of unity and oneness in the mind of God, and we are here to awaken to who we truly are and make everybody in the world say, oh yeah. All right. So some announcements before we go on. In the next 2 Sundays, I'm going to put my feet up and let other people preach. It's so nice. So next Sunday, Julie Buckley will be here. She has been doing an experiment, so she's going to have a little show and tell for us on the power of our words and good vibrations. So she's going to present the findings of her scientific experiment. And on February 12th, Deb Varn will be preaching, and she's going to lead us through a process of identifying what is trying to emerge from you out into the world, what you are trying to birth in this world. So tune in for the next couple of weeks, and I'll still be here, but I'm just gonna be part of the, I'll be part of the band and sitting out there. Anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out. It's gonna be great. Friday, February 17th is our movie night. We're gonna do Groundhog Day. That 1993 classic film, played by Bill Murray. He learns the proper use of time when he gets stuck in a repeating day. So bring some snacks, curl up on the couches, and we'll do our movie night. On Friday, February 24th, the Resonant Rogues, this is a duo, Americana Appalachian bluegrass type of duo from Asheville, will be here in the living room. On Friday, February 24th at 6:30. Tickets are $15 online or at the door. We'll provide snacks and drinks, and if you want to drink anything stronger than Coca-Cola, you can bring your own bottle. BYOB. And let's see. Okay, a couple of other things. Tell us about Jive.
We're getting the band back together.
COVID broke us up.
Yeah, we had a group we called Jive. It was Jubilee Instrumental Vocal Ensemble, and we performed for a couple years, once a month or so, and it's mostly voices and a few instruments, and we're getting back together starting this Wednesday at 7:30 right here. So if you come a few minutes early, you can hear the band finishing up their rehearsal. And we won't go really long. It's not an all-night rehearsal. This is more like 45 minutes to an hour at first. So it's not a big commitment. Even if you don't feel like you can hold a tune in a bucket, please come, because we'll find something for you to do, and we will teach you.
All right. So Wednesday at 7:30. Yes. Wednesday, 7:30, yeah. Join us. On February 26th, we're going to have our congregational meetings. So it's just an annual get-together. Let's do a potluck. Everybody bring something. I didn't put this in the bulletin because I have 100 things in my head, and then 99.9 fall out when I try to do these things. So write that down, February 26th, right after celebration. Bring something for a potluck and stick around, and we'll have a congregational meeting and just brainstorm what we want Jubilee to be this year, the direction we want to take, and what the just take a temperature of the community and see how we're doing for this year. So that's February 26th, about 1 o'clock, right after celebration. Do you want to tell us about Art Church? Oh, okay. Right, well, it's in there now, so. I just took it off of your flyer. So Sundays, Tricia, I'm excited about this because Art Church. Tricia is going to start Art Church next door in her sound healing studio. So beginning on February 12th, this is going to be Sundays running February 12th through March 15th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. She and Mary Howe are going to lead participants in a creative experience. They're going to use art, sound, and meditation. They're going to provide materials for you. You don't have to be an artist. Suggested donation is $20, and just chat with Tricia about it later. And I'm excited. I'm excited that she's cranking stuff up next door. It's going to be good. And then, of course, 10:30 every Sunday morning, she's over there for Soundy School. Half an hour of meditation and sound healing. And our Course in Miracles discussion group is at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. Any other announcements I missed? If you haven't seen Torch Song, there's one show left this afternoon at 3. My spouse, Beth, is in the first act. Her character is named Laurel. Yeah.
You won't miss her.
Yeah, you won't miss her. She's in a nightie the whole time, so
yes.
it's fun, but it's very tastefully done. It's very nice. But it's at Cottingham Auditorium on the campus of Columbia College. So, and you can get your tickets at the door or online. But it's workshop theater. So this is their final performance. So if you have not been able to catch it, go see it today. All right, breathe deeply. Hear these wise and holy words. A ding, yay. From the workbook of A Course in Miracles. The real world is a symbol, like the rest of what perception offers. Yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through the eyes of fear and brings the witness of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind. And only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol of that dream of sin and guilt. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. And from teacher and author Emmett Fox, when you hold resentment against anyone, you are bound to that person by a cosmic link, a real though mental chain. You are tied by a cosmic tie to the thing you hate. Is that what you wish? By forgiveness, you set yourself free. You save your soul. And because the law of love works alike for one and all, you help save their soul too. These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. Let's stand and sing. And remember, this is our little sing-along, so you've got the words there, and your part is lean in toward the light, lean in leaning toward the light. You'll get it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Winter is the oldest season, leaning toward the light, but quietly beneath the snow, leaning towards the light. Seeds are stretching out and reaching, leaning towards the light. Faithful as the morning glow, leaning towards the light. Carry nothing but what you must, leaning towards the light. Let it go, shake off the dust, leaning towards the light. Today is now, tomorrow beckons, leaning towards the light. Keep practicing resurrection, leaning towards the light. The prayer I pray at eventide, leaning towards the light. All left undone, be put aside, leaning towards the light. Forgiveness is hard to find, leaning towards the light. Help me at least to be kind, leaning towards the light, leaning towards the light, leaning towards the light, leaning towards the light. Oh yeah. You may be seated. All right, the band can go somewhere else if they would like to, or you can stay up here on stage, whatever you please. All right. The band, everybody. Amazing folks here. Woo-hoo. Okay. All right. Yes, it is, yeah. Leaving is the hardest part. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Look, now the crowd got so much bigger. There were times in Jubilee's history when the band outnumbered the congregation. So there were times. Once upon a time, I loved watching murder shows. If I love murder shows, watching all those. Often people wound up dead by betrayal. You know, it's usually husbands killing cheating wives, wives killing cheating husbands, husbands and wives hiring others to kill each other. I mean, all the different ways. Then there were tales of people who were snatched up at random and murdered. Others were abducted by those they knew and maybe later killed. Every story was laid out in this painstaking detail, and they were all horrific portrayals of how brutal and inhumane we can be to one another. In short, I spent every night glued to stories that filled my mind with fear. The result? I started to perceive a fearful and dangerous world. Anybody could be a potential killer. Anybody could be a potential victim. I got some mace. I mean, this is really true. I got some mace and started carrying it around with me in case I found myself in some dark parking lot or alley with my car too far away and somebody nearby. You know, I was suspicious. I'd check my back seat for unwanted passengers. I would suspiciously eye folks who just, looked at me for way too long or seemed to be up to no good. In short, I was suspicious of everybody. All those killers on the TV shows, man, they look like your neighbor. They look like just everyday people. Some were driven mad with jealousy, others by a compulsion to hurt or kill people. Who knew what lived in the minds of these monsters walking around looking like ordinary folks? Just best to keep your distance. Be suspicious. And this became the real world for me. A world where you never know who might have real knives or guns out for you at any moment. And you know, I don't watch those shows anymore, mainly for that reason. They convinced me that the world was a fearful and unsafe place. So over the past few years, I've been watching other things. Instead of putting my attention on all that fear, I've been trying to focus on love. I've devoured A Course in Miracles, listened to other teachers like Michael Singer and Marianne Williamson and Tara Brach, Eckhart Tolle, Pema Chodron, all these great teachers. I filled my ears and my mind and my heart and my spirit with their teachings about love that encourages me to see the loving Christ in those around me instead of seeing everybody as a potential attacker and myself as a potential victim. And it really has transformed the world I see. In fact, it has helped me to see what A Course in Miracles calls the real world with a capital R and a capital W, which it defines as a symbol like the rest of what perception offers. The real world, though, is the opposite of what our ego symbolizes for us, which is, of course, that fearful world that brings the witness of terror to your mind, as A Course says. What we think about all the time and how we perceive ourselves and others, that becomes the real world for us. But the good news is we can choose which world we see. We can choose which world we want to live in. And I've decided in this new year to strive to see the real world, to see the symbols of this world as those of love and peace and joy, to see a world where terror is impossible and peace of mind is my reality. And I'm not donning any rose-colored glasses. I'm not overlooking suffering and injustice. Instead, I'm seeking true perception. I'm trying to see the holy, the innocent sameness of all of us, to perceive that we are all still joined as one in the mind of God, but we're down here in these bodies, we're playing our part, we're doing our role, we're each learning our specialized curriculum. And my ego tells me it's okay to judge others, it's okay to look out into the world with grievance and fear and enhance my fearful feelings of separation. And my ego tells me, as a matter of fact, you got to defend yourself. Because crazy people out there. I watch the TV shows. I saw them. And then I got to be on the defense all the time. I got to protect myself, either physically or mentally. And that's what the ego does. It convinces us that the real world, its real world, is a world of treachery and attack and murder and fear and suffering. But we can change this perception of our world because, as A Course reminds us in chapter 20, we made up this world anyway. We made it up with our egos. It's a picture of what you think you are, the Course says, of how you see yourself. We made a merciless and loveless world because we believe we are neither worthy, we are not worthy of either mercy or love. That's the world we made up. So to begin to perceive the real world of love and joy and peace, then, we need a miracle. And a miracle is a change in perception, but it is also an extension of love. The love that we are called to extend in this world, it takes the form of forgiveness. So I'm going to touch that spiritual third rail this morning. We're going to talk about forgiveness and how it gives us this entrance we need into that real world, which of course defines as a mind at peace. So before we go on, I just want to invite you, breathe deeply. We're going to go on the roller coaster. I want to say up front, being willing to forgive, even those we perceive as having done great evil and harm in the world or to us personally, it is not an abdication of bodily justice. We still arrest and try and convict and incarcerate those who do any harm to other bodies in the world. What I'm talking about, though, is a higher calling, a higher spiritual walk. If we can forgive just one person perfectly, we would save so much time and bring so much healing to the world. And this is the power of your mind at work, Jubilants. We do this work not to excuse the actions of others, not to blame the victims, but to create a world where peace of mind is all anybody wants to achieve, all of us. And the ego hates forgiveness because it believes only the weak forgive. And some of us have suffered through some terrible things in our lives at the hands of others, whether they're friends or strangers or more often than not family members. Forgiveness seems a bridge too far for a lot of us. And it probably felt that way too for a woman named Marietta Yeager Lane. Her youngest child, 7-year-old Susie, was kidnapped in 1973 while the family was camping in Montana. In the immediate aftermath, Marietta says she was, quote, ravaged with hatred and a desire for revenge. She said she was ready to kill the perpetrator with my bare hands and a smile on my face. But Marietta instinctively knew what author Emmett Fox teaches in today's reading. When you hold resentment against anyone, you are bound to that person by a cosmic link, a real, though mental chain. You're tied by a cosmic thing to the thing you hate. Is that what you wish? By forgiving, you set yourself free. You save your soul. Because the law of love works alike for one and all, you help save their soul too. And that's exactly what Marietta accomplished when she became willing to forgive, to reach that real world where peace of mind is the only state of being. And she says she knew that holding on to her hatred and anger would consume her. It would finally undo her. She felt justified in hating the man who killed her daughter, and no one, not a soul, would blame her for that. Her faith, though, she says, convinced her to commit to walk toward an attitude of forgiveness, to just be willing. Instead of murderous thoughts about a murder, Marietta says she chose to send him positive thoughts. Simple things like just hoping the weather was good for him wherever he was or whatever he was doing, and sending wishes out to him that if he were traveling that he wouldn't have any car trouble or any problems. On the 1-year anniversary of Susie's disappearance, Marietta received a phone call. On the other end of the line was the man who had taken her daughter. She told him that she had been praying for him. And she said she genuinely wanted to reach him. They talked for more than an hour, and even though the police weren't able to trace the call, he gave them enough clues to identify who he was. After, though, investigators failed to find enough evidence to hold David Meyerhofer after they arrested him, they went to Marietta and made a request. Would she go meet with him in person? This is the man who killed her daughter. I mean, can you just wrap your mind around that? Go talk to him face to face. And she did. And in that meeting, he confessed to killing Susie. And he confessed to 3 other murders as well. And not long after they put Meyerhofer back in his cell, he hanged himself. What Marietta did next was reach out to Meyerhofer's mother. And the 2 women began a tradition of visiting their children's graves together as mothers who had lost their children, Marietta says. The real world, A Course in Miracles says, shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? Who can doubt that Marietta Yeager Lane saw the real world? She saw a place where peace of mind can be found even after the horrific death of your child. Still, our ego persists. How can anybody do such a thing? It seems ridiculous. They can do it because they're willing to see the world differently. They are willing to look past the body that seems to be doing evil things to them or others and see the truth about everyone here. We are not our bodies. We are spirits having bodily experiences. And apparently, those experiences include harming other people and causing great mental and physical damage. Again, we have systems in this world to punish those actions, but forgiveness is how we reach the peace of mind that pervades the real world, the realm of our spiritual unity and oneness with everyone we think we see walking around in this physical world. In Marietta's story, it isn't anecdotal. There are plenty of other unbelievable forgiveness stories out there. The Amish community in Pennsylvania that forgave the shooter who killed 10 schoolgirls back in 2007. And then that community went and reached out to the shooter's mother and gave her aid and comfort. Parents who had lost children, they had that in common. There's the survivors and family members of those killed by white supremacist Dylan Roof at Charleston's Emmanuel African American Methodist Episcopal Church back in 2015. They extended their forgiveness to him. There are amazing stories of forgiveness and reconciliation that have come out of South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission to deal with the violence under apartheid. Some mothers, these are some fantastic stories. Just go read them. There are some mothers whose sons were murdered who have taken the murderers in as their sons. Astounding. Astounding. Forgiveness isn't going to bring back any dead children. But it does restore relationships. It does allow us to see a different world, to see the real world, where peace of mind is attainable because we understand there's really only one of us here. And if that's true, if we're one spirit having disparate bodily experiences, then the only one we're actually forgiving is ourselves for believing that we were separate in the first place. Forgiveness isn't an easy topic. It's not. Just this past week, we've seen horrific violence. These past couple of weeks, mass shootings. What's happening in Memphis? But this, jubilance, is why we do our work. If we go out into this world with hatred, with fear, with vengeance in our hearts, we just continue to create a world full of hatred and fear and vengeance. This is why our spiritual work is not spiritual bypass, because we're doing hard work. The only way you end murder and hatred and fear out there is when you stop it here first. When you can walk out into this world with peace of mind. When you step into the real world, the rest of the world follows you. I've seen it in my own individual world. And I know if it works in the individual world, it works in the corporate world. Remember, as we said last week, either this shit works or it doesn't. Either it works or it doesn't. And this shit works. Got to put an explicit on the podcast again. Oh, well. But there are moments when we prefer grievance. We want to be outraged, and that's okay. But I do want you to consider Marietta's advice to herself. She said, I knew that hatred wasn't healthy, that it would obsess and consume me. It would be my undoing. So if you don't want a world that's full of murder and terror, root it out in your own heart and mind. Because if your mind is consumed with murder and terror, that's all you add to the world. When you allow only peace to enter your mind, then peace is all that you will extend to the world. And from that place of peace, you become a miracle worker. So the choice is ours. We can have our anger and our grievance, or we can have peace of mind. We can live in the ego's false world of retribution and hatred, or we can live in the real world of peace and love. And I know this can sound like a lot to accomplish, and it really is, because there are a lot of emotions to sort through when you feel like you've been wronged by someone, or you see all those wrongs out in the world. But I'd like to give you a practice to ease your way into a forgiving mindset. First of all, let's just forget about the word forgiveness, because that can be triggering. Okay, so let's not even use that. Let's talk instead about the practice of loving kindness. Because it really is the same thing, you just put down all the baggage. So if you're willing to do this practice, it will help you use your body as a signal for when your heart is open and when it is closed. So when our hearts are open, we're more likely to experience that F word we've been using. When our heart is closed, we're more likely to use the other F word. Tell people to F off. So the practice is this. Let's breathe deeply. And I want you to get comfortable. As comfortable as you can. Take a deep breath. And I want you to bring to mind someone that you truly love. Someone who is very dear to you. It can be another human being. It can be an animal, pet, whatever. What just opens you up? Your heart is wide open because you love this person, this animal, so much. Think of all the qualities about them that you love. Fill your heart and your mind with love for them. And say in your mind, may you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body, spirit, and mind. May your heart know peace. May you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body, spirit, and mind. May your heart know peace. And as you say those things, imagining that you're saying them to this person, this entity that you love so much in this world, I want you to take a moment and really feel what your body feels like. You may be smiling, your heart rate going down. You're so wrapped in your feelings of love for this other person that any pain you felt before, you don't even notice it. Your body may be humming slightly from the inside out. You're so excited. You're so open, filled with love. This is what happens when you're an open channel for love. All the love that flows through you is extending outward to this person, to this animal. It's filling your body with really good vibrations, right? It feels heavenly. You want to feel this way all the time. Now, in this next moment, I would like you to bring to mind someone you hate. Now tell me how your heart feels. Tell me how your body feels. Did you tense up? That person. Not that person. Thinking about all the terrible things that person's done. He's probably planning to do. You're judging them. You're criticizing them. Oh, now you're tense. You know what you've just created? Hell. And you put yourself right there, like that. Blink of an eye. Oh, we were cruising along. Oh, I love that person. I love that person. Oh, I hate that person. Boom, closed. Which world do you want to live in? You were in the real world for a minute. Peace of mind, love, joy. Yeah, back in hell. That person, no. Nope. It's easy to love those we love. It's easy to stay open when they're on our mind. So I want to give you a way to ease yourself into not closing so quickly, all right? So if you can't keep your heart open to somebody you hate, find somebody nearby. Think about somebody who loves that person, because there is someone. You might hate them, but there's somebody who loves them. I remember when Jerry Falwell died all those years ago. And I had all my friends texting me and rejoicing, oh, you ding dong, he's dead, And I had to stop myself from celebrating because somebody lost a dad. Somebody lost a grandfather. Somebody lost a close friend. He was still a human being. Was I glad he wasn't doing what he did in the world anymore? Sure. Sure. But I had to find a place of compassion even for him. To dehumanize anyone is to close our hearts. And we can't do that. So choose somebody nearby. So there's somebody that you hate. Do they have children? Think about their children. Send them love. Do they have a dog? Think about their dog. Send their dog love. Send love as close to them as you can get, as you can honestly, genuinely feel for them. Until eventually, test it out. Now think about them. Oh, closed again. Okay, got to pick somebody else. Let's love their mailman. Let's right. Let's love the person at the checkout line who checks them out. I mean, just get close. Get as close as you can to sending loving kindness. This is the act of forgiveness. This is how you get into it. You work your way in. It's not easy, and the ego is going to try to talk you out of it over and over again. That's why noticing how our bodies feel, whether we're in that heavenly place of loving kindness or that hell of hatred, it's so important because anger and hatred literally makes us feel like hell, while love and peace make us feel heavenly. The Holy knows we can't do this all at once. That's why in chapter 13, of course, says, you will first dream of peace, and then you will awaken to it. Your first exchange of what you made for what you want is the exchange of nightmares for the happy dreams of love. Love waits on welcome, it says, not time. You can do this at any time. And the real world is but your welcome of what always was. Therefore, the call of joy is in it, and your glad response is your awakening to what you have not lost. I can't watch murder shows anymore because I don't want to live in that world. Do murders still happen? Yeah, we've seen it. Just look at the past month. It's been horrific. But this is why we do our inner work. If we can rid ourselves of the murderer within, then we bring less murderous energy into the world. All minds are joined. There's only one of us here, so as we heal our own hellish thoughts, there is less hell to be extended out into the world. First we dream of peace, then we awaken to it. So the question becomes, what world are you dreaming of? Are you dreaming of a hellish nightmare world of grievance? Or are you dreaming of that heavenly world where everyone can achieve peace of mind? You can't have both of them. You got to pick. So I invite you in this moment and in every moment to remember this practice of loving kindness, and choose a better way. When you're feeling closed, choose again. Just choose again. Realize it. You can feel it in your body. When you tense up, relax. Choose again. Give up your grievances. Step into a world where peace and loving kindness invite you into a heaven that makes us all say, oh yeah. Breathe deeply. I invite you in this moment to try that out. You know, that person that you hate, you brought them to mind and boom, closed. Try some adjacent people right now. Think about the dog, the cat. Somebody loves that person. Somebody, you don't understand it, but somebody does love that person. They're the apple of somebody's eye. Try to get into the mind of that person. Send them love. Just anyone adjacent. We're just trying to get to the point I love my hairdresser, but she just was going on and on yesterday about hating people, about walking in the Walmart and just, instantly people were just, her heart was closed in the Walmart. And I've told you, if you can do this practice in the Walmart, you can become an enlightened being. If you can walk in Walmart and love everybody you see, I can't do it yet, so I'm preaching to me too. But this is what we're trying to do. And it's not easy, but it's worth it. Because if enough of us can do this, we won't see mass shootings. We won't see people beaten by authorities that are sworn to protect them and not kill them. We won't see this happening. Because it will stop. First we dream of peace, and then we awaken to it. I invite you in this moment, dream of peace. Breathe deeply. It is through your gifts, your generosity, your ability to support this community that we are still here. Through COVID, through everything, we are still here, and it's because of the help and support of cheerful givers like Jessica. And we thank you so much for your ongoing support. If you want to support us, you can go online to jubileecircle.com, and there is a link right there that says donate, and that will take you to a place where you can donate online. Here in the room, if you don't have any cash on you, there's a handy little QR code on your bulletin that you can use to electronically give through Venmo and PayPal. For those who want to write old-fashioned checks, there is a post office box you can send them to. The post office box 4611 Columbia, South Carolina 29240. And I'm going to pass this around. Virginia, can you move things around? Thank you. All right, so we are going to say adieu to the folks out there in TV land, and we're going to do a little discussion in here. So thank you so much for joining us on the YouTube. We will see you again next week. And remember, if the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, it will be enough, because that puts you right in the present moment, and that is where you can learn all of these ways of loving kindness and forgiveness, and that is where you want to be. So we'll see you again next week on the YouTube, and have a great week. Oh yeah.